Hi, this is Claire and we're looking at reflections again, and this is the fourth tutorial. So we're going to use a Cartesian plane, an x-axis and a y-axis that's in the center of the page. So when you've constructed that, you'll see the page is divided into 4 quarters. Each of these is called a quadrant. So this is the first quadrant, and all of the x and the y values are positive in this quadrant. This is the second quadrant, the third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. So that's what they're called. Now I'm going to draw another geometric shape just on the corners of on the grid lines, just so I'm not using fractions. And I'm going to draw a kite. I thought I'd draw something a little bit different this time. So there's my kite, and I've been careful so there's no fractions here. So I'm starting drawing up one side there, another side up here, and there's the top of the kite. And it's quite a nice looking kite. You can draw any shape you like, but I do recommend that you keep the corners on an exact coordinate grid line, just so it's not too tricky. So give them a label, give them a capital letter for each one, and leave enough room for your coordinate so you can label them. So A is, the x coordinate is 4, and it's gone up 1 coordinate on the vertical axis, so it's the coordinate 4, 1. Let's look at B. B is above the horizontal axis at 6, and it's on the vertical axis at 5. Now, for this point, C is above 4 on the horizontal axis, and on the vertical axis, it's across from 7. And D, I have to squeeze it down here, is above 2 on the horizontal axis, and it's on the 5 line, the same as B, so it's 5. So I've been careful to label each of these coordinates. Now, the challenge for you is I'd like you to reflect this shape through the y-axis and label the coordinates, and then reflect it through the x-axis down into this third quadrant. And I'd also like you to reflect the original here through the x-axis down into the fourth quadrant, and just see if those two actually would produce the same reflection. So I haven't reflected through the x-axis, so I'll do this reflection down here. So the same principle, you draw a line which is perpendicular to the axis and go the same distance beyond the axis. So that distance is 1, this distance will be 1, and that is A prime. C is 7 above, so it will be 7 below. So I'll just label these: -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. So -7, and on the 4 line, that's C prime. B are going to be on the 6 line, and it's 5, positive 5 up here, so it will be -5 down here. And that is B prime. And across from that will be D, and D will be down here. So it's a little bit easier to do these reflections when they are on a set of axes, and that will be D prime. So joining those up and then finding the coordinates of each of those. And what I particularly want you to do is see if you can describe any patterns in the coordinates, how they change. Because remember, maths is the study of patterns, and if you can see a pattern, you can make predictions, and it makes life a lot easier for you in the future. So let's see if we can find these coordinates. So starting with A, it's the x coordinate is still 4, but instead of being +1, it's -1. That easy. For B, it's the x coordinate is the same. It will be 6, but the y coordinate will be -5. For C, up here, the x coordinate is still 4, as you can see, and instead of +7, it's -7. And for D, it's still, the x coordinate is still 2, but instead of +5, it's -5. So in this case here, you can see when you've reflected through the x-axis, the x coordinates stay the same, but the y coordinates have been multiplied by -1. Okay, so now I want you to reflect these two shapes through the y-axis, or you can reflect this shape through the y-axis here and then through the x-axis. So see if you can do that, and I'll see you perhaps later in class. Bye.